to welcome you from the ETF in Turin in the north of Italy. And today we had our first snow. My name is Christine Herschmeyer. I work for the European Training Fund as the coordinator of the activity of the fund with Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, but I also coordinate our work at the regional level in Central Asia. And I'm very pleased to see so many participants with us today. Actually, I will be very grateful if you can quickly write us where you are from so that we can see the countries that you are representing today. Please let us know in the chat box. And this webinar today is devoted to the innovative methods in distance learning, and especially this webinar is established to exchange experience between the teachers, the masters, and those who work daily with distance learning features, and I hope that it will be a very fruitful exchange. In the recent months, we had a number of webinars for teachers, for those who implement distance learning, and the last webinar with our colleagues from Astana Polytech College was on 11th of November, and this is our final webinar for this year. And I see that we have participants from Kazakhstan, Moldova, Kyrgyzstan. Thank you all very much. I think I also saw some other countries. Let me have a look. So mainly I think it's Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and I hope that our colleagues from Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Moldova are also joining us. I'm very thankful to our colleagues from Astana Polytech College for organizing and co-organizing these webinars together with us. This is thanks to Mr. Sergey Klimenko. He is our main moderator of the session. And back in May, he actually proposed creating these webinars and initiative of Teachers Without Borders. And I think that these webinars really allow the teachers, the people who have to address the real challenges on a daily basis, and they actually have the most valuable experience. We're very thankful that we can foster on this idea and hope that this exchange will work today. I pass the floor to Sergey. I wish you all enjoy this webinar. Thank you very much, Ms. Christine. Good day and good morning, distinguished colleagues. We are very happy to welcome you at our second international webinar devoted to the topic of actual issues in distance and digital learning in Central Asian countries and the EU. As Ms. Christine noted, the previous webinar was devoted to a more theoretical part, and today we actually broke down our webinar to two directions. One is IT and technical maintenance and car repair. Let me briefly go through the agenda of our webinar. At the plenary meeting with welcome address, Ms. Makisheva Alia Dalganovna will speak, head of the Center of Education of Nur-Sultan City, Singazir Kansim Khan, director of the Higher College of Astana Polytechnic, and Mr. Sartaev Oralkhani Mangalievich, director of the College of Radio Technology and Communication, Semey, also Republic of Kazakhstan. After plenary welcome addresses, we will go to breakout rooms. So, distinguished colleagues, once again, I would like to remind that in order for you to rename yourself in Zoom, As we showed before, please put number 1 in front of your name, then you'll go to IT. If it's 2, then you'll go to breakout room with car repair and technical maintenance. The first session will be led by the Ilse Brankley, Victor Tsarus, teacher of professional textbooks, and also Jumagulov Eldar, Republic of Kyrgyzstan, Professional Lyceum of Communication and Information Technologies, Zhanaev Alisher, also the teacher of special disciplines of Taldykorgan Higher Polytechnic College, Republic of Kazakhstan, Abdrakhmanova Zhanna, also the teacher of special disciplines of the Higher College of Astana Polytechnic, Nur-Sultan City, Republic of Kazakhstan. When it comes to sessions for the car repair and technical maintenance, we have the following speakers: Mr. Ismail Izoev, teacher of the vocational education. From the experience of working with the Turin Center of Vocational Education of Estonia, Aubakirova Dinara, Deputy Director on the educational work of Bishkek Automobile College, Kyrgyzstan, Zubkova Yulia, Deputy Director on the educational work of Usk-Kamenogorsk College of Construction, and Izova Alessa, also with the speech on this session. There will be also Singavi Yerkinjan, the teacher of special disciplines from Astana Polytechnic. After the speeches of all the speakers, we will have the summary of the session. It will be in form of a discussion, and also, of course, it will be interactive, and dear colleagues, you'll be able to address your proposals or suggestions. And this is important for us, for our feedback, in order to be able to use the open space, and we can upload this information so that our colleagues, like Christine said, can have a look at the materials. In the end, in the plenary session, we will develop certain recommendations. Well, now let me pass the floor to Makisheva Aliyam, head of the Center of Education in Nur-Sultan City. Ms. Aliyah, please, the floor is yours. Thank you. Good day, distinguished guests and participants of the webinar. I'm very glad to welcome you at the international meeting on discussing the actual issues related to implementing innovative technologies in distance learning. Today, we are witnesses on the fact that distance learning is the driving force in developing education in the world, as well as in the Republic of Kazakhstan. This challenge, of course, is not easy. Someone was ready, someone was preparing for this challenge, but this type of education in the last year was deeply integrated into the educational process and actively develops in the IT sector. Distance learning also rose the demand and for digitalization of educational process. But this is only the beginning. The pace of the change, of course, is changing and going faster, and we are the participants of these changes. At the moment, the changes in education are radical, and they happen in mere months, not in decades like before, but every month. Practically recently in May, we spoke with Sergey at the European Training Fund at a similar webinar. And there, Sergey said that this is a challenge for Kazakhstan, and we have to be prepared, and we have to train the teachers who can also share their experience and also share with us their positive experience. And this international event today is very important, and it shows us the opportunity that we can hear the experience from many countries: Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Estonia, Kyrgyzstan, and this is great because we have what we can be proud of, and we are ready to receive new knowledge from our colleagues, because one of the paradigms of modern education is continuous education throughout our whole lives. Today, our students read e-books. They visit virtual labs, and they also use AI. They deal with virtual designs. They use open educational platforms. But together with this, for us, the teachers, it's important to understand the efficacy and the value of these implemented technologies. To achieve successful results, we need search, trials, and analysis of outcomes. I'm proud of our teachers, especially the teachers of our colleges, because if we compare the teachers of higher education, basically they had no time to prepare because uh, they were the first to enter the distance learning. And now we're proud to the fact that our teachers have their own digital educational resources. We have things to share from our college. Dear colleagues, today the Higher College of Astana Polytech provides this opportunity to share experience at the international level, find creative ideas and successful ways to address problems. On behalf of the Center of Educational Modernization and the pedagogical community of the city, we thank our colleagues from abroad for the participation on this webinar, for this opportunity to openly carry out such an event and exchange opinions, and we hope for our future cooperation. Dear all, I wish all of you a fruitful event and effective interaction. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Alia Daldanovna. Next, let me pass the floor to Director of the Higher College of Astana Polytechnic, Mr. Kasimkhan Singazievich. Please, the floor is yours. Good day, distinguished colleagues. I'm very glad to see you at this event. Just a couple of weeks ago, we met all together, and also we had stakeholders who joined us, and they also were discussing the problems of distance learning. And we liked that our foreign partners from Central Asia also joined us. There were great presentations from Uzbekistan, and I believe that today we will also have a chance to discuss these issues in the professional circle of our teachers who are on the fields working with the students, and they know the precise problems that the students are facing. And these problems, of course, we can discuss all together. Well, distance learning, per se, as Ms. Alia Daldanovna said, colleges are faster and more effective than schools in implementing distance learning in our city. So we were started preparing for distance learning 2 years ago. We had certain plans cover distance learning, and we were preparing digital educational resources. We were preparing platforms, we were training our teachers. And when the pandemic came to Kazakhstan, and we had a lockdown on March 16th, from the very morning of March 16th, we started distance learning. So we had only 2 or 3 days to organize the whole process, and we did it very quickly. I believe that today colleagues will share their experience, and in Polytechnical College, thanks to European Training Fund, we have this opportunity to hear presentations from other countries. But when we actually moved to distance learning, I think we started working, well, we have over 800 colleges in the country. I think we were meeting twice every week, and we were exchanging experience. And Mr. Oral Khan, he's here. He will also share with us his experience. He's from Semipalatinsk College. So I want our teachers to share best practices, as well as teachers from other countries to share their best practices. And I believe that it will be very useful and fruitful for everyone. I wish you a productive work for our today's webinar, and all the best in what we do. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Kasimkhan Singazievich. Next, I pass the floor to Mr. Sartayev Oral Khan, Director of the College of Radio Technology and Communication from SEME, with the topic of pros and cons of distance learning. Mr. Oralkhan Mangalievich, the floor is yours.
День добрый, уважаемые коллеги.
Distinguished colleagues.
Разрешите представиться. Ну, меня, в принципе,
Let
уже
me
представили.
introduce myself. Well, I was
Хотел бы
introduced,
добавить, что я
I would like to add
города
that
Семей,
I'm from
Восточно-Казахстанской
Semey,
области.
East Kazakhstan
Тема
Oblast.
моего сегодняшнего
Topic of
выступления
my
– это
today's
плюсы и
speech
минусы
is the
дистанционного
pros and
обучения.
cons of distance learning.
Я в начале своего доклада хотел бы сказать, на самом деле, на сегодняшний день это довольно-таки такая актуальная проблема. В обществе очень активно это дистанционное обучение обсуждается всеми и далекими буквально от образования людьми, и в основном высказывание носит такой негативный характер. И вот, пользуясь случаем, я хотел бы рассказать о плюсах и минусах дистанционного обучения, которые присутствуют в данном формате. Эту актуальную на сегодняшний день тему я попытаюсь раскрыть с точки зрения человека, находящегося внутри данного процесса. Я работаю в системе технического и профессионального образования с 1984 года, прошел путь от мастера производственного обучения до директора колледжа. Несмотря на мой 36-летний опыт работы, переход на дистанционное обучение стал для меня, как и для всех участников образовательного процесса, определенным испытанием. В условиях пандемии речь не идет о выборе способов обучения. Мы вынуждены внедрить дистанционное обучение как суровую необходимость, диктуемую требованиями времени. Не буду говорить о достоинствах традиционного обучения, которых мы все с вами знаем. Я постараюсь определить, какими положительными и отрицательными характеристиками зарекомендовало себя дистанционное обучение в нашем колледже. Начнем с плюсов. Одним из основных требований при организации обучения всегда было наличие здоровья сберегающих технологий. Именно поэтому, как самый большой плюс дистанционного обучения, я хочу выделить обеспеченность безопасности обучения в условиях пандемии COVID-19. Изолированность обучающихся, наличие возможности обучаться из дома, безусловно, способствует сохранению здоровья и сокращению распространения коронавирусной инфекции. Второй по значимости плюс дистанционного обучения – это улучшение IT-компетентности как преподавателей, так и студентов. Как и все колледжи, Республика Казахстан, как и все колледжи нашей республики, наш колледж один раз в 3 года определяет свою проблемно-поисковую тему, которую считает актуальной и работает над ней. С 2007 по 2010 годы такой темой колледжа была тема «Системное моделирование образовательной траектории колледжа на основе внедрения информационно-коммуникационных технологий». Оборачиваясь назад, с уверенностью могу сказать, что за период пандемии ИКТ в работу преподавателей было внедрено намного больше и активнее, чем за весь период работы над этой темой. Вот за эти 2 месяца прошлого учебного года и 3 месяца этого учебного года мы наработали столько, сколько не сделали за вот тот с 7 по 10 год трехлетний период. Если говорить об улучшении IT-компетентности студентов, то она также выросла в разы. Каждый студент свободно владеет интернет-технологиями, успешно пользуется поисковыми системами при поиске нужной информации и решении поставленных преподавателем задач. Я думаю, что вот данный плюс, я думаю, тоже очень серьезная, я имею в виду, что со стороны студентов, возможность именно заниматься самообразованием, находить именно те источники и те материалы, которые потребуются для развития своих компетенций и, соответственно, получения квалификации. Следующий плюс – доступность материала 24/7. То есть то, что не успел прочитать или сделать в назначенное время, можно восполнить в любое время. То есть обучение происходит в индивидуальном темпе 24 часа в течение всей недели. Также появилась возможность ежедневного стопроцентного охвата студентов при организации опроса. Все отвечают на тесты, и все выполняют задания. При традиционном обучении такой возможности нет. На урок можно опросить только несколько студентов. Также большим плюсом является то, что все преподаватели, даже преподаватели физической культуры и начальной военной подготовки, пополнили свои электронные образовательные ресурсы. Можно с уверенностью заявить о том, что у каждого преподавателя теперь есть электронные сборники лекций и практических заданий, видеоуроки и прочие электронные образовательные ресурсы, которые будут использованы и после окончания карантина при переходе в штатный режим обучения на уроках и при организации индивидуальных занятий с отстающими или пропустившими занятия студентами. Следующий плюс в том, что у студентов появились равные возможности получения образования, независимо от состояния здоровья и места проживания. Еще хочу подчеркнуть как положительный момент, что сразу было предложено множество различных платформ дистанционного обучения, и каждое учебное заведение могло выбрать наиболее удобную и подходящую для него форму. В частности, наш колледж применяет платформу Moodle. Она используется нами с 2014 года при работе с отстающими студентами. Хочется отметить большую работу Национального акционерного общества «Талап», который своевременно организовал различные дистанционные обучающие курсы для преподавателей по организации дистанционного обучения, по совершенствованию IT-компетенций и различные мастер-классы по использованию различных платформ дистанционного обучения. Также на «Талап» на YouTube-канале собрали большой банк видеоуроков, которые могут использовать все учебные заведения Республики Казахстан. Ну, наверное, не только даже Республики Казахстан. Если говорить о минусах, то они следующие. Первое – это разные технические возможности средств вычислительной техники студентов. Обусловлено это местом проживания, сельская местность, удаленные районы, материальное положение, к сожалению, отрицательно сказывается на принципе равенства получения образовательных услуг. Отсутствие возможности присутствовать на практических занятиях, особенно у студентов, обучающихся по техническим и технологическим специальностям. Вот такая ситуация у нас была при завершении прошлого учебного года, когда мы вынуждены были даже выпускные квалификационные экзамены по рабочим квалификациям принимать в дистанционном режиме. Также большим минусом дистанционного обучения является отсутствие личного контакта между преподавателем и студентом. Да и отсутствие общения между самими студентами также не есть хорошо. По этой причине утрачивается опыт социализации молодых людей, который приобретается ими именно в студенческие годы. При удаленном обучении вся ответственность за освоение информации ложится на самого студента, что требует сильной мотивации и самодисциплины. Делая вывод, хочется подчеркнуть, что дистанционное обучение – это лишь требование времени, диктуемое сложившейся эпидемиологической ситуацией. Своим выступлением я не ставлю цель сравнивать традиционное обучение с дистанционным. Здесь важно понимать, что дистанционное обучение – это всего лишь инструмент и дополнение к традиционному обучению. Вот все то, что я хотел сказать. Ну, если есть вопросы, готов, в принципе, ответить на вопросы, уважаемые коллеги.
Thank you, Aralhan Mangalevich. I believe that all the questions can be put into the chat box, should there be any. Now, let us move on to the next part of our agenda, analysis and monitoring of distance education. And let me share some information with you so that we have a big picture, general understanding of what we are dealing with. Our college carried out a survey, an online survey, for the participants of our education, so students, faculty, parents, and employers. We wanted to see how distance learning affects different indicators or different aspects of education. You can see that 1,290 students took part in this survey, and these are the answers. So the question was, are you satisfied with the distance learning? You can see from this diagram that 58.8% said yes, but 41.2% said no, they're not satisfied. Would you like to continue distance learning after the pandemic is over? And to our surprise, the majority of our students said no, they would not. And only 35.3% said yes, they would like to continue with distance learning. Do you believe that distance learning will enable us to receive quality education? And here is a paradox that students said no in 70% of cases, and only 30% of students said yes. Are you satisfied with a Google Classroom educational platform? This is the platform that we are using in our college, just like my colleagues mentioned earlier. Over 70% of our students said yes, they are satisfied with this platform. Are you satisfied with the format of the final assessment in the format of distance learning? And again, 67% said yes, they are satisfied, and 32% said they were not satisfied. There were also questions to the parents and teachers. The next question is, are you satisfied with the process of teaching? And our colleagues in 58.5% of cases said yes, they are satisfied. Do you use distance tools in the process of teaching? So pretty much everybody said yes, and only 2 people said no. So for us, it was rather weird. Third question, did you face any difficulties in distance learning? So see that 67% of our colleagues said yes, they did have difficulties. And our today's webinar should show what happened on site in order to support our teachers, in order to overcome these difficulties. or which difficulties they faced, how they overcome those difficulties. And also opinion of our teachers. Here they split when we asked them whether the quality of education increased. Now questions for the parents. Parents were also quite active in our online survey. Here are the questions for the parents. Has your attitude to the chosen major changed after the beginning? So 64% said no. Do you think that the distance learning changes the development of an individual, of a teenager? 61.6% said yes. These are parents. Dear colleagues, please switch off your mics if you're not speaking at the moment. 38% said no. The next question we asked is, whether the communication has been effectively developed in the case of distance learning. So 57.8% said yes. Next question that we asked to the parents, whether you use ecological mechanism in the family in order to increase motivation and self-effectiveness of your student. And we're happy to see that 71.1% of parents said yes. And I would like to comment here right away that our psychological service in the college organized special teacher parents meeting in order to provide them psychological support. Why is that? It's because students suddenly became one-on-one with their computer. They had to be more responsible. They had to be more motivated. Everything became digital, no real communication, just through the webcam. This is a good indicator when parents are interested in showing support to their students in order to increase students' effectiveness in the format of distance learning. Is self-organization developed for your child? In most cases, they answered yes. Now we have questions to our employers. So we had 31 companies as our partners where our students have their internship and where they get their jobs eventually. We asked the following questions. Do you have qualified personnel? And 54.8% said that the quality of qualified personnel is very good. So 29% it's very good, 54.8% said good, and 16.1% said not so good. Another question about the way of hiring someone for a job. 58.1% of our employers said, and we're happy to see that they hire students straight from our college. Next one, 25.8% said other. 9.7% said that they use headhunter agencies. 1 person said they use information from the colleagues, and personal website 1 person. So as you can see, for the employer, most important is to get students from the colleges that prepare qualified personnel for the labor market. Our next question was a tricky one. What is the dynamic of the development of organization in the next 5 years? We know that we're all experiencing pandemic and many companies are experiencing failures when it comes to their jobs, their functions. At the same time, we're happy to see that 67.7% said they expect a significant growth. It is linked to the fact that most of the companies, just like any other educational institution, move to a new type of work, a new type of management styles, new type of meetings, new type of works. So if a company used to provide services, they moved the services online, they digitalized these services. So they see a certain opportunity here. 32.3% said they expect a slight growth. The next question was about the degree of involvement of the company in the job finding program of the college. 64.5% they said good, 19.4% said very good, and 16.1% said satisfactory. So you see that most of the employers give a positive assessment to the colleagues who help with employment of students after they graduate from our college. Our college did not just close its door, issued a diploma to the students and said good luck. Now, our college was actively involved in employment of our students. We provided this support to our students, which is what we can see from the results of the survey. Next, where do the college alumni work? Of course, the majority, 83.9%, said technical area and only 16.1% said economic or humanities. In our college, we have a department of tourism and economy where we teach future economists and accountants. So we see that the interests split. The next question we're interested in is how we prepared our specialists, how we trained our specialists. So the question is about the quality. What is the quality of preparation of our experts? 51.6% said that the quality is good, 35.5% said very good, and 12.9% said satisfactory.
Next question was, do you believe that the specialists of vocational education are on demand in the labor market? They said yes. And would you recommend our graduates of our college to your partners? Everyone said yes. So here we are saying that the work is highly supported. We're not leaving the students and parents outside the educational process, but from the perspective of the pandemic. So this is the analysis of the monitoring of distance learning. With this, we end the first part of our webinar, and now I suggest my colleagues from the European Training Fund help me break down the participants to the breakout rooms, and we will continue our webinar in the breakout rooms. Thank you, Sergey. I believe that my colleague Galina has already split everyone to breakout rooms. Before we do that, I have two questions to our participants. First question is, I ask Galina to help us. So I would like to ask who you are. We see that we have over 100 participants, which is great. But we would like to also ask you which professional group you represent. Galina, can you please launched the survey to the participants. So this is our quick poll, and I asked the participants to respond to this poll. Please indicate what group you're from. Please vote on which group you represent. Not everyone actually responded yet. We have a few seconds more. I'm very glad that we have many teachers here and directors. We have methodologists, masters. It's a pity that we have less masters, but hopefully we would like to see more masters in the following events. Okay, I think everyone responded. So I think we can end the poll. This is the results. So of course, mostly we have the teachers. It's great. These are the people who we created this for, but it would also be great to see more methodologists and masters. Okay, we can close the poll. And also I have another question to all of you. I wonder, Sergey, on your work on feedback, when was this survey done? Which month? So we actually conducted this survey twice. The first one was, well, with the first one, we faced the problem that not all the students and the teachers had the technical capabilities to ensure that they have the distance learning. So we did this analysis of the need in computers and internet and so on. After we started, in about 1.5 months, in mid-April, we launched and we conducted our second survey for our teachers, students, and parents. And for the employers, we had the survey in August. Okay, after graduation. Yes, after graduation, once our students went searching for jobs. I think it's a very interesting initiative. Lots of very interesting data and information. So dear participants, if you also had some sort of survey for feedback, please let us know in the chat. I think maybe you are working on it. We wonder if your college, if you also collected feedback from students or parents or maybe employers. I think not everyone does this, but I believe that this is actually a very good practice to understand people who really encounter these challenges better. Galina, I think we are ready to go to breakout rooms. And I would like to make the final message. Not everyone renamed themselves, so my colleague will split you to breakout rooms. So if you wish to change your group, please write in the chat of your session. So with this, we split into breakout rooms and we will have 1 hour to discuss these two topics in more details. I wish you a fruitful discussion. I think that we may now start. Everyone moved to their breakout rooms. We are here in the second session on car repair, and I will ask our moderator and facilitator to help us moderate this upcoming 1 hour. Hello? Hello, dear colleagues and guests. Let me introduce myself. My name is Saule Zhigraevna. I'm the teacher of the special disciplines of the Higher Polytechnical College in Nur-Sultan City. Today, we've gathered at the international webinar, which is dedicated to the actual issues in digital and distance learning in Central Asia and European Union. Distance learning is the form of education which today is getting more and more popular, and implementing such an education, of course, is successfully practiced in our college. Distance learning allows a student to study wherever he has access to internet, and it's very convenient. The student can choose the pace he wants. Of course, there is a recognition to the fact that if the teacher of distance learning should be as professional, he should have various skills, and therefore the teacher will need to learn the new approaches in interacting with the students, and of course be up to date with the modern directions and the changes in the discipline of education. Of course, we thank the organizers today. It's great that we have this opportunity today to share our experience in such a short period of time with the international community, because the teacher should not only teach but also learn. Therefore, the goal of this seminar is to share experience and best practices on implementing innovative technologies, discuss the problems and challenges and various with colleagues from different countries. Dear participants, during your speech, please make sure you turn on the microphone. If you're not speaking, unmute your microphone. And also, please stay within the timeline of 10 minutes. And after all the speeches, we will be able to discuss the presentations, and for this, please address your questions in the chat box. So later we also can address your questions using the microphone. And the length of our session is 1 hour. In the end, we will exchange opinions and discuss all the questions. I think it's all clear. Now let's move on to our agenda directly. And first, I invite Ms. Aubakirova Dinara, Deputy Director on Education of Bishkek. I'm sorry. Mirzoev Ismail from the Center of Vocational Education, Estonia, please. Mr. Ismail Mirzoev, teacher.
Здравствуйте,
Yes, hello.
С Эстонии приветы.
Hello from
Я очень
Estonia.
рад, что нас
I'm very
позвали на
glad
этот вебинар, и мы можем вам представить свой опыт в дистанционном обучении.
We'll be able to share our experience in distance learning. Let me turn on my presentation. Let me share my screen.
Так, видно вам? Нет?
Can you see my screen?
Сейчас, минуточку. Да, я не могу почему-то включить свою демонстрацию. Но я тогда без демонстрации буду, если можно. Потому что не открывается у меня почему-то.
Okay, I apologize for interrupting. I think, yes, Ismail, you can start, and I will try to...
Потому что у меня почему-то не разрешает ее включить.
Because I don't have permission.
Из-за privacy.
Okay, can you try one more time?
Да, теперь разрешает.
Yes, now it works.
Да, меня зовут Исмаил
My
Мирзоев,
name is
я
Ismail
из Стартовского
Mirzoev.
центра
I'm
профессионального
from
образования, и
the
сегодня я вам расскажу немного о нашем
Star
профессиональном
Center of Vocational
образовании,
Education,
как у
and I'll
нас
share with
проводится
you
вообще обучение
our
и что
experience
изменилось
in
во
education
время
in general and what
пандемии.
changed during the pandemic.
Наш центр образования, он
Our
самый большой в ТАРТ
educational
в
center
Эстонии.
is
Обучается здесь
largest in
около
TART in
30 тысяч
Estonia. We have over
3000 студентов,
over
и это
3,000
считается
students,
четвертым
and this is the
таким образовательным центром после 3
fourth
университетов.
largest
У
educational
нас
facility
более
after 3 universities,
70
and we have
учебных
over
программ и от уровня
70
3 до 5. И
programs from level
250
3 to
учителей.
5 and
В
250
Эстонии
teachers.
принят такой
In
закон,
Estonia,
что
we have
в
the
центрах
law
технического
that in
образования должно
centers
быть
of
хотя
vocational
бы
education, there
50%
should be at least
практических заданий. То есть туда
50% of
входит и практика,
practical
и
tasks.
практические
So
задания.
it's
Теории
both
должно быть
theory and practice,
максимально
and
50%. Но чем больше
theory
практики,
can
тем
be as
лучше.
maximum of 50%. The more practice, the
Сейчас
better.
конкретнее я вам расскажу, что у
Now
нас
I
тогда в
will tell
авторемонте. В
you
авторемонте у
what
нас
we
тогда
have in car
получается
repair. So we
7
have
специальностей. Это
7
слесарь-кузовщик, это
disciplines.
level 4.
It's
Level 4
level
означает то,
4.
что у него
What
должно быть
level
хотя
4
бы
means that
среднее, не
he should
среднее,
have
начальное
at
образование
least
9
the
классов. И во время
first
тогда
9
этого
grades
левела
of
4 он
education,
получает
and this is the
образование
locksmith
среднее, то есть как гимназия. Оно сравнивается с гимназией,
and
и
the
после
body
этого он
mechanic,
может поступать в
and
университет.
later on he can go to a
Автомаляр
university.
level 4,
Then also level
жестянщик-монтажник,
4, this is the
диагностика автотранспорта, это уже
Malar,
level 5.
and
Level 5
the
это когда ты
diagnostics of auto
получаешь с
transport
первого
is
level
level
4,
5.
то
This
есть
is
ты
from
учишься, например,
first
на
level. For
автотехника
example,
или
you
работаешь 4
learn
года в
to auto
авторемонтной
technician, or
мастерской,
4
и
years
после
you
этого
work
ты можешь
in
поступить на
the
level 5.
car
Level
repair
4
masters.
обычно у нас, если
You
после
can go to
9
level
классов
5. In
поступают
level 4, if
ребята,
after
они
the
учатся
9th
3
grade,
года,
our
потому что
students
там еще один
they
год
learn
есть
3 years, and
общеобразовательные
then there is
уроки,
also
как
the general
математика,
education,
эстонский язык, английский язык и
1
так
year
далее.
math,
Level 5
Estonian
только
language,
один
English
год.
language, and level
Это чисто
5 is only
специальность
1
и
year.
чисто
This is
очень
only
концентрируется
the
именно на
special
диагностике
discipline and
автотранспорта.
concentrate on the
Автомеханик у
diagnostics
нас
of
тоже
auto
level
transport.
4, она
Auto
разделяется на
mechanic
2 и
also
на
on
3
level
года, в
4, it's
зависимости
split
после
into
гимназии
2 or
они
3
или после
years,
9
depending
класса.
on whether they are
Мастер кузовных и покрасочных работ
enrolling
это тоже
after
продолжение
gymnasium or the 9th
обучения
grade
слесаря-кузовщика или
of middle school.
жестянщика-монтажника. Техник по уходу за
And
автомобилем,
the car
поверхностями
maintenance
и шинами. Это level
technician
3.
with the
Сюда
tires
могут
and
поступать все желающие, даже у кого нет образования,
the
потому что у
car
нас есть люди, у которых нет 9 классов образования, или,
body,
например, у
and
них
also
какие-то
this is for
недостатки
everyone. This is either you have
в том
9
плане,
grades of
что
middle
они
school
не
or
могут
not,
учиться в
and
простых группах.
for
Тогда мы
example,
их
they can't
направляем
study
туда. И
in
они в течение
ordinary
тогда одного
groups, and we
года,
send them
они
there, and throughout
обучаются
1
только
year they
одному
learn
ремеслу, это
only,
или замена шин,
for
или
example,
тогда
either changing the
мойка
tires
машин.
or
И
car
технический
wash.
инспектор.
And also
Это
technical
человек, который
inspector.
в
This is
будущем
the
будет
person
проверять
who in the
машины,
future
который будет
will
проходить каждый год
inspect the cars
технический осмотр.
for their
Учащих у нас
technical
примерно в
condition.
профессиональных училищах по
In our
Эстонии 24
vocational
тысячи,
facilities, we have
и
about
из них
24,000
1800
students, and
студентов
of them,
учатся
1,800 students
именно авторемонту.
are actually
Еще здесь
studying
такой
car
ремарк, что в
repair.
Эстонии
And
вообще
also
1
there's this
миллион
comment
300
that in
населения,
Estonia, the
поэтому
population is
номера такие
1.3
маленькие.
million. That's why the figures are so small.
COVID-19 пришел к нам
COVID-19
неожиданно.
came to
Мы
us
вообще этого не ожидали на
unexpectedly, and
самом
of
деле. Мы
course we
думали, что
never
это где-то
expected
будет
it.
в
We
Китае, и до
thought
нас
that
этого не дойдет сюда, в Европу.
it's
Но
somewhere
это
in
так не
China
получилось,
and it
потому
will
что
not
мы до
reach
самого
Europe,
последнего
but that was
момента у
not
нас
the
все
case.
шло
Well, till
запланировано.
the
Меня
very
даже
end,
отослали в
everything was like
Германию со
planned. I was even
студентами,
sent to
чтобы практику
Germany
там
with
проходить.
students
И в какой-то
to
момент нам
actually have
звонят с
some internship there. And
Министерства
at that
внешних
time,
дел и
we
говорят,
get a
все,
call
собирайте
from
свои
the
вещи,
Ministry of Foreign
возвращаемся обратно. И
Affairs, and
закрыли
they
все
called us
границы.
back
То есть, в принципе, мы приехали
and
последним самолетом, и
closed
тогда
all the
все начало
borders. So
закрываться.
basically, we came back with the last plane,
Со
and
стороны того,
the
что
country went on
было,
lockdown.
почему
And
мы немного как бы считаем
so
себя, что у нас получилось перейти на
we believe that we were able to
дистанционное обучение очень
transition to
легко.
distance
Это
learning
потому, что
very
у нас с
easily. It's because
1997 года у
since
нас
1997,
взяли стратегию в государстве,
the
что
state
будут развивать именно именно
upon the strategy to
IT-сферу в
develop
государстве, мы
IT
перешли
industry
на...
in
Все,
the
были в то
country, and
время закуплены
therefore,
всем
at
школам
that time,
компьютеры.
all the
Всех детей
schools
и
were
преподаватели начали
equipped with computers,
обучать
and all the
использованию
teachers
компьютером и интернету.
started
На
learning
данный момент у нас
how to use computers and
где-то
internet, and at the moment,
98%
about
покрыто
we have
интернетом в Эстонии.
98% coverage of
И
internet in
считается, что где-то
Estonia,
и
and it's
98%
believed
есть
that
людей,
about
которые используют интернет
98% of people who
в
actually
нашем
use internet
государстве.
in our
Еще что
country.
можно
And
как бы показателем вынести то, что, например, мы голосуем,
another thing we can
выбирая
say
наш
that
парламент или
we
местную
vote
власть через интернет. То есть у нас
when we vote for
ID-карты,
the
которыми мы
parliament or
можем давать
the local
подписи через
authorities.
интернет, это
We have
покупка
our ID
автомобиля,
cards, and we can do it through the internet.
там
We can
выборы
also purchase
парламента те же
cars
самые
or
в течение
the
5 минут и
elections of the
так далее, и так далее.
parliament,
То есть
everything
нам было
within
очень
5
легко,
minutes. So
например,
it
даже
was
какие-то
easy for us,
контракты
even
заключать
when it
с
comes to
партнерами
signing some
через интернет
contracts with
и
partners
не вынуждая
via
наших
internet.
работников, чтобы они с кем-то
And we
встречались
don't have
в
to
реале.
have our
Например, у нас
staff
даже, вот когда мы
meet
отсылаем на
someone in person.
практику
Even when
студентов,
we
то
send
они должны
students
подписать
to
контракт.
internships, they have
Контракт
to sign a contract.
трех сторон. Это
This is a
школа,
trilateral contract:
работодатель и
school,
практикант
employer,
сам.
and the
И вот это
intern.
нам как бы
And
было
this
легче все сделать
was
именно через
easy for us
дистанцию.
to accomplish remotely.
До периода дистанционного
And
обучения или
before
до периода
the
COVID-19 у
period
нас
of
как бы
distance learning, or before
были какие-то
COVID-19 period, we
подготовки
had
в
some
плане дистанционного обучения. У нас
preparations in
были
terms of
дни
distance learning. We had
дистанционного обучения. Это
days of distance
конкретные дни
learning. So
были
these
за год
were
вперед
particular days
как бы в план года внесены.
that
И
were
уроки,
actually
которые попадали
planned
на эти
throughout the
дни, они
year, and
должны
there were
были быть
and the
подготовлены дистанционно. То
classes
есть
that
уже
took place in those
раньше
days, they had to be
учителей как бы
carried
толкали на
remotely
то, чтобы
through distance learning,
какая-то часть уроков
because
была
teachers
дистанционно. Даже в
were actually
программах у
pushed
нас
to carry distance
уроки
learning.
разделены на
And
теоретические,
the
которые
programs, we
находятся
had
в классе,
theoretical
на практические, на
and
практику в
practical,
базах практики в
and
фирмах, и тогда
these are done
еще
usually
дистанционное
on
обучение.
site in the companies and distance
Moodle у
learning.
нас очень хорошо
Moodle
работал уже до этого.
has been
Но, как я скажу,
operational very
что
well,
каждый кризис выводит из
and every
своего такого
crisis, of course,
каждодневной такой ауры, и
sets
тебе надо немного
different
усовершенствовать,
aura,
чтобы
and you have
лучше
to
справиться с
improve
вызовами, которые
to
тебе
deal with the
предоставил этот кризис.
challenges
И
set by
скажу
the
так, что очень
crisis. And I
многие
would like to
учителя,
say that many
которые
teachers
категорически были против
who were
дистанционного обучения,
against
сейчас с этим
distance learning
занимаются, и
now
уже
actually
вот у нас сейчас начинается
are
вторая
working
волна,
remotely,
скоро
and now
опять
we
хотят
have a
школу
second
закрыть, то
wave.
они уже
The
намного лучше
schools will go on
подготовлены.
lockdown again, maybe, and the teachers are more prepared.
Вызовы именно в
In terms of the
профессиональном
challenges
образовании
in
и именно в
vocational
авторемонте
education
мы
and in car
можем вынести
repair,
то, что
we
очень
can
сложно
say that
преподавать
it
именно
is very
практические
difficult
уроки
to actually
дистанционно,
teach the
потому что у
practical
нас
classes
практические уроки
remotely,
проходят
because
дистанционно
our
так, что у нас
practical lessons
большие
actually so happen that
лаборатории, где мы
we have
реально
very big
берем
labs
машины клиентов
where we
с города
actually
и их
get
ремонтируем
clients'
с
cars
ребятами, в
from the
зависимости от
city and
того,
repair
какой
them
урок
with
у
the
нас там,
students, depending on what the
замена
class
шин
is.
или ремонт мотора, ремонт
It may be
коробок
the
и так
change
далее, и
of
так далее.
a
То есть они
motor or the
очень
bodyworks
жизненно,
or
близко
anything
выполняют
else. So they can
эти
do
задания.
this sort of work on
Во
practice.
время дистанционного образования не было такой возможности, и мы
Of course,
пробовали всякие
during
варианты. Мы пробовали
the distance learning,
перенести
we couldn't do
теорию,
that.
то
We
есть на этот
tried to do
период
what
теории, но так как
is
этот
possible to do.
задлилась эта пандемия, то у нас пришлось все равно
But
практические
we
уроки
needed to organize practical questions, practical issues, and
преподать. И
nevertheless.
тогда мы перешли на видеоуроки. Это когда мы
Then we moved
снимали
on to
уроки, им
the
отправляли
video
и
classes. We
показывали
would
именно, как это делать.
film
Еще одна
videos,
возможность,
and then
которую
we
мы
would show what
использовали с
can be
некоторыми
done.
группами, это мы договорились
We
с
did it with other
работодателями,
groups as well.
которые,
We talked
конечно, в
to the
начале пандемии
employers
не были готовы брать
who weren't ready at the beginning of the
практикантов,
pandemic
но
to
через
take
каких-то
on
пару,
the
там,
interns,
2-3
but
недели все-таки поняли, что эта пандемия не пару недель, а она
then they
все-таки
realized that
задержится
the
на долгое
pandemic isn't
время,
going to
и
last
тогда
just 2 weeks, it will
разрешали
last
им на
much
практику идти.
longer.
То есть мы их отправляли на практику, мы отсюда давали им теоретические знания, а на практике они проходили именно практические задания. В принципе, такая же система в Германии, где они неделю обучаются на месте, и потом три недели обучаются на место практики. Самое сложное было с ребятами, которые и не во время дистанционного обучения теряются. То есть именно мотивация, какие-то задания им раздавать, чтобы они вовремя эти выполняли. Когда у тебя нет повседневного какого-то контакта с ними, ты за ними не можешь следить. Мы решали это вебинарами, где все должны были участвовать, и там разъясняли какие-то нюансы и так далее. Но очень сложно было. Те, которые обычно в школе тоже были молодцы, они были и во время пандемии молодцы, а с кем проблемы были и перед пандемией, и во время пандемии тоже было очень сложно. У нас еще сложности были с тем, что у нас каждый год тест по завершению школы, когда мы выдаем сертификат, соответствует ли он этому уровню. И мы смогли это сделать так, что у нас было очень маленькое количество людей, и по одному в масках и так далее. То есть этого мы не перевели в дистанционное. Да. I'm sorry, your time is up. Уже закончил.
Basically,
Если есть вопросы, то я
do you have any questions? If you do, I will be happy to answer. We will not have time for the questions, but here's the information. So if there are any questions, we can forward them. Next, we will hear from Bishkek Automobile College, Aubakirova Dinara, Deputy Director on the Educational Affairs. I kindly ask the participants to stick to the time allocated for their speech. Dinara, are you here with us? Dinara, are you here? Please switch on your mic. We can't find Dinara, maybe she will connect a bit later. So I give the floor to the next speaker, Zhukova Yulia, Deputy Director of Educational Affairs, and Izova Olesya. They will share the experience of Uсть-Каменогорск College of Construction, and their topic is the training of personnel and the condition of distant learning. Hello, dear colleagues. We thank you for the opportunity to speak today, to share our experience. We represent Uсть-Каменогорск College of Construction. Why do we put focus specifically on preparing technical personnel? It's because this is the focus of our educational institute. Uсть-Каменогорск Construction College started its existence back in 1933. So we position ourselves as one of the leading colleges in the Eastern Kazakhstan when it comes to technical personnel training. On the screen, you see our path of development from just a school to a college. You can also see a number of majors that we are providing in our college. Mission of our college is to prepare professional and competent experts through a model and competency-based approach. A couple words about the structure of the education process. We have 9 grade-based college, and education lasts for 2 years. The system of education is based on models. The theory is intertwined with practice in our workshops to begin with, and later add different enterprises that are our partners. If in Estonia this is 65%, our ratio is about 60 to 40. So we also put the bigger focus on the practical training. Since 2020, March, when the whole world moved towards the distance learning because of the pandemic, our college did the same. For us, it was not a challenge, and on our slide, you can see a screenshot of our website. By introducing the program of Digital Kazakhstan, we have developed such a menu on our website, which is called Distance Learning. We have also introduced training of students through the website. We know that students come with different level of preparation. Some of them might get sick and they skip a class, or maybe they skip a class due to some other reasons. So these students could use this menu and use the resources that are provided there by the teachers. Yulia, I'm sorry, could I ask you to go to the full screen mode? Yes, this is better, I believe. In March, when we launched the process of distance learning for all the students, it was important to receive feedback. So we also carried out a survey, and we realized that students, parents, and employers were split into different categories. No one said specifically that distance learning is great. Teachers had difficulties when it comes to preparing for their classes because that meant extra workload. Some students didn't have opportunity for distance learning, maybe they didn't have internet, they live in remote areas. So in March, we faced a number of challenges. Besides that, psychologists of our colleges also provided psychological support to many parties. Many students who study in our college come from less favorable families, and they needed psychological support, which was provided basically 24/7. On our website, our students could and still can use external resources. In summertime, education department informed us that we will need to move on to centralized platforms, so move away from our own website or our own platforms that we called Kapas Balim, and move on to the platform which was provided by the education platform. We chose Google Class then. And now I will give the floor to my colleague who will explain how education is done based on this educational platform. Hello, dear colleagues. I would like to tell you more specifically and show you some examples about how distance learning is organized based on the Google Class platform. Having analyzed our educational process, we can showcase this as a model, which you can see now on the screen. All the students study a theoretical material, they also do individual work, and we definitely carry out control and feedback offline and online. All of that depends on the level of preparedness of the teacher. Well, now let us dive in. In order for this model to function effectively, we needed to develop methodological recommendations where we describe into a lot of details the way the distance learning is organized. We explained also the algorithm and all the steps that are necessary for all the interested parties. I am sorry for interrupting. We just have a practical question. Please choose Russian language. Those who speak Russian, please choose Russian language in order for interpretation to work. I think we have a Russian language channel. Have you chosen? Yes, we did. Okay. Thank you. Please carry on. On the current slide, you see the educational platform Google Classroom that we are using. This way, all the teachers upload information such as theory, all the tasks, and assessment criteria. Teachers also develop video classes that they upload to their YouTube channels, and they conduct classes in online format using Zoom and Google Meet platforms. In order to effectively organize the work of students, especially when there is a need for an individual work, each teacher chooses his own, her own way to do that. So these might be workbooks, for example, the workbook of the structure of an automobile. The same way we use different virtual labs. Be it basics of electronics, we use Google Forms that enable teachers to develop different tasks. We also use visual materials. Teachers develop different cards in accordance to the methodological recommendations that were developed for them. We also use differentiated practical tasks. We have an opportunity to provide some internships. For example, we can send our students to the car maintenance garages in order for them to get some practical skills. In order to systematize it and make it easy and user-friendly for both teachers and students, we have also developed a digital and methodological complex where the structure is well developed. We see all the normative documents, educational materials, also visual materials, internal and external resources, different cards, various tasks, and control system. You see that for each topic, a student knows what is available on the platform and what is expected of him or her. Another important aspect for an effective organization of distance learning is methodological work in order to support distance learning. We support our teachers in 3 different ways. The first way is individual work, second, collective work, and third, different educational programs. If we talk about individual work, we should mention that together with our methodology expert, the teachers develop cards of individual achievements. Goals for the current year are placed into these cards. Our teachers are also sent to the in-service training. They can also see a number of courses that they can choose. We also practice teacher visiting other teachers' classes in order to gain from each other's experience. We also develop video instructions that we upload to the YouTube channel where we explain which program they can use, which algorithm, and any other additional resources that are needed to our teachers. Our collective methods are also present here. We carry out instructive and methodological meetings where we discuss common challenges and we help each other out in organizing effective distance learning. Another important aspect, especially within the framework of distance learning, is ICT School, which has been in place for several years now. Here you see the plan of work of ICT School. So teachers are taught in online format. We develop their ICT competencies. You see the examples here. We work with our teachers. We make sure they get familiarized with different digital platforms. Another important aspect is support of professional growth of our colleagues. We organize different competitions, creative competitions or any other competitions. We want our teachers to keep developing. Having analyzed the above mentioned and keeping in mind what the colleagues have already mentioned previously, we come to the conclusion. What is needed in order for an effective distance learning? Of course, we need good technical parameters. We need to have computer-based smartphone and access to the internet. We need a unified digital education platform, specific instructions, algorithm of works, and methodological recommendations, online classes, constant feedback and motivation, monitoring of educational platform. We need to have constant contact with the students. We also have joint work of teachers, students, advisors, constant monitoring. This work is of paramount importance. Miscellaneous forms and methods of education, practice-oriented tasks that take into account individual needs of students. Dear colleagues, we thank you for your attention. This is it from our side. Dear participants, do you have any questions to the speaker? Any questions? You can ask any questions you have right now. If there are no questions, I would like to ask one. How do you organize professional internship during the COVID times? March 2020, many students of the third course were supposed to have professional internship, but due to the pandemic, many enterprises declined this opportunity. Some students asked for the permission to get a job in a private company, maybe in the car maintenance shops, where the employers did not mind these students. So this is how the problem resolved itself. Those students who did not have such an opportunity worked online. For example, those who have a car or maybe motorbike or any other type of vehicle, they would need to do a certain task that the teacher would give them.
To film a video, to send it, and then the group of students address the problems through Zoom. So only this way we were able to address the problems when there was loosening of the lockdown. We were following of the sanitary surveillance, and we're doing it here on site. This year, all the internship was moved to the second semester, and we hope that they will allow us in Kazakhstan to learn at least from the second semester, because from the first semester, we didn't have the real education. May I ask a question? This is the question addressed to you and to Ismail as well. You both spoke about video lessons, and I wonder what were you able to learn with the video lessons? Because before you were not YouTubers, right? So if you can share this part of your experience. So now I'm speaking about the video classes from teachers. So for example, in these months, if maybe you have some outcomes in terms of how it was easy or difficult for your teachers in terms of the video lessons. This is also the question to our colleagues who already spoke, and also to Ismail. So this, of course, is a lot of work to prepare one video lesson, because you first have to prepare all the material, to process it, and to prepare that into a presentation, and also to have a voiceover, to also have additional video resources. And then this way, you also need to have a limited time, I mean, a class time, academic hour. And my colleagues, I think, will agree with me from other regions that not all the teachers had this capability, because, you know, they're not that skilled with the computers. So the School of Information Technology, well, we at least, you know, taught them how to make presentations. So in this case, our teachers had no problems, but doing a voiceover and then also to put some music onto it and other special effects, we carried additional lessons for them and training sessions. It takes 1 or 2 days just to prepare one video lesson without support. Of course, support is very important. We need support. How about Estonia, Ismail? What are your outcomes? And please use the Russian channel if you haven't done it yet. This is for Ismail. Please select Russian channel on your Zoom. So what outcomes? And how to best prepare the teachers and masters.
Я согласен с предыдущими выступателями, что
with
да, это очень сложно,
that in
это
fact
очень
it is
много
very
времени
difficult,
занимает.
it takes
И,
a lot
к
of
сожалению,
time,
как
and
бы руководство еще не
unfortunately
поняло, что
the
дистанционно
top
урок
management
проводить
hasn't
это
yet
намного
understood
дороже
that
должно
distance
быть,
learning
чем
should be even
это как
more
бы
expensive
традиционно проводить.
than the conventional
Потому что видео
way, because
снимать, видео редактировать,
filming a
видео
video,
рассылать,
editing the
да,
video, and
но
then
здесь есть и плюс. Если вы
sharing it,
один раз сняли
yes, but there
видеоролик,
is an
то в
advantage.
будущем вы будете
If you
использовать тот
did
же
it
самый
once,
видеоролик. То
you
есть в
will
будущем
use
у
the
вас
same
работы
video
будет меньше, но это
in the
очень
future,
сложно
so
донести
you'll have
учителям.
less work,
И
but it's
учителям
very
это очень
difficult to
сложно
explain
донести,
this to
потому
the
что
teachers.
они все
It's difficult
надеются на
for
то,
the
что
teachers because they
коронавирус
all hope
закончится, и
that the
тогда мы вернемся к своей
COVID-19
жизни,
will
которая была
end
до
and we'll go
коронавируса.
back to normal.
Вот. С видеороликом
And when it comes to the video lesson,
мы дошли до этого, что мы поняли,
well,
что видеоролик не
we
каждый учитель
understood
может
that
снимать,
not every teacher can
просто
film
потому что
one, just
чтобы
because.
это вообще ремесло другое. То есть
Well,
мы
basically, it's a different
уже как
set
бы
of
прошли
expertise,
таких два
because, you
обучительных
know,
этапа. Первый это
we
мы
had 2
выучили, как
training stages.
ремонтировать
First,
машины,
we
потом мы
learned how
выучили, как
to
обучать
repair cars, then we learned
этому
how to
ремеслу.
teach
Теперь нам надо еще выучить
this
третье ремесло, как редактировать
profession
видео.
to
То есть
others,
для
and
одного
now we
человека это
have
очень
to learn
сложно.
the third
Но у нас
discipline
есть
in terms of how
коллектив,
to learn
который
video
именно
editing.
занимается
So we
видео,
have
именно
staff that
занимается
do video
редактированием,
clips
именно
and
занимается
editing,
техникой. То есть мы можем в
and
любое время попросить их,
at
и
any
они
time we
придут
can
нам,
ask them
помогут,
to do it.
покажут.
They will
И
come and
даже
help us and show everything.
если
And
нужно,
even
и если
if
руководство
necessary,
поймет, что это
if
очень
the
важный
top
какой-то
management
видеоролик,
will
то
understand that
даже
it's
как
an
бы
important
будет
video clip,
выплачен за это какой-то гонорар.
then
Но у нас есть
probably
очень
we
много
can even
проектов,
get paid for that.
где мы
So we have
участвуем
many
именно по
projects where we
Erasmus+, где мы
participate on
всякие
Erasmus+,
делаем
and
именно
we make
учителя
many,
собираются,
well, the teachers
и на этот фонд
gather,
мы
and
делаем учебные ролики или
with this
какие-то
fund we
материалы. У нас
prepare
вот
some
сейчас
materials.
новый проект
The
Picture
teachers collect
Dictionary,
money.
где
So,
мы
for
на
example, we have Picture
английские
Dictionary project where
слова учим ребят, где
where
вот
we
каждая
learn English
фотография
words,
какого-то
and every
агрегата, там мотора
picture
или
of
какой-то части
an
мотора
engine or some
вносим в этот
part of
Picture
the
Dictionary, и
engine,
они могут
and then
оттуда, то есть
we
онлайн
put that
посмотреть и
into
узнать,
Picture
как это
Dictionary.
слово
They
на
can have a
английском.
look at online and see how this word
Через такие
translates
проекты
into
только мы
English.
развиваем,
So we develop
чтобы были
only through these
качественные материалы.
projects, to have high quality materials. Thank you. Saule, I would like to say that Well, I don't see Dinara in our group, so maybe we'll need to move on to the next speaker, and we will have more time for sharing. So Dinara explained that due to technical problems, she was not able to join us, and we continue our work, dear participants. We pass the floor now to our next speaker. It's my colleague from Polytechnical College. Chair of the Cyclical Methodological Commission on Technical Maintenance. Young, creative, please, the floor is to Ms. Yerkejan Chingaeva. Hello, distinguished colleagues and participants of the webinar. In my presentation, I would like to start it creatively, and now I would like to make a small video course. So we have labs on electromobiles and with electric equipment, and here we have stands on electromobile and the car itself, and also we have technical maintenance. That is the maintenance and the repair, also the systems of passive security and safety, the safety belts, and also the anti-blockages to stop the car automatically. So we create these stands for lectures, for video classes to explain this to students. And also the light systems. Does everyone see the video? Yes, so this is lighting system. Here, the students have a chance to have a look at the issues or the failures of the front or back lights. And the next stand is the checking and inspecting the generators. This is the lab work, so here we can carry the diagnostics. And next is the practical work. This is to inspect the starter and the generator. Next stand, I would even say the design. This is the design of the diesel engine on the design of the car, and this is the chassis. And on these tools, we can do not only practical work and not only lab work, but also to practice on it. Next stand is on the systems of the launching the generators. Here we work with the sensors, with the motherboard, and as you can see, this is electric equipment. Mr. Rahim Serik, he here disassembles and assembles the generator. Next, we are carrying the practical work on the welding. This is the welding equipment. And with this, I showed you a brief information in terms of what type of equipment we have and our material and technical base. And let me start with the presentation. So this is the use of innovative equipment on distance learning. In our college, the College of Alistana Polytechnic, the student receives 3 qualifications. This is the car repair, the master on repair of auto transport, and the mechanic. So we have model education, where we use automated learning systems, ALS. So this is on multimedia technologies, and also the learning systems of Com3 Lab. And the student on this equipment can actually have practical lessons on also the transitions of electric schemes and equipment. This is on the discipline of electric equipment on the car. Next slide, these are the master's rooms. And here we can have innovative technology, Bosch, Siemens, and so these are the novel equipment and testers in these workshops. Next, With pride, I can say that we have XT Lab, the only one in Kazakhstan so far, and on the video clip you're able to see it. This basically is to study the accumulator batteries and also the features of the asynchronic engine, and also the control panel of the electric mobile, and the practical lab work can be done. With pride, we can also say that starting this academic year with the project of Jas Maman, a young professional, we have a fully equipped lab on carrying maintenance of light vehicles. And here we can say that on these stands we can carry out not only lab work but also practice. So I can say, and you can see from this slide, this is the brake system, the system of brakes, and basically at the beginning we have lab work. So when it comes to a lab work here, we cover the theories around the brake scheme of the vehicle, the general schemes and structures of the vehicle, and also we can change the brakes. So we have both the practical and the lab work. And also on this equipment, we can actually cover a few different disciplines. So we have modal and credit education. So in one model, we have a few disciplines. So basically on these stands, you can actually cover not only one subject, but also cover different subjects as diagnosing, inspections on repair, and also the sensors. And also I can say that with each of the stands, you can carry from 15 to 17 lab works. These are the real lab design. So here, the students actually make these designs and stands themselves to later be able to use them. Next slide, I'm showing you our partners and also the enterprises where our students actually go through an internship. And so as we all know, starting March 2020, we are all in distance learning. So with the use of various electronic and computer methods, this is video conferences, and this is of course asynchronic education, and we use Google Classroom for that, and also in terms of the chat, we use WhatsApp, Contactive, Telegram. We use the chats to get feedback. And also we can say that the learning process has two regimes. The first mode is online, where the teachers cover new topics and discussing the questions, exchanging experience and opinion. The second mode is an offline mode where the students independently carry out their tasks and make their home tasks and then send to their teachers. And also we can say that, well, we have knowledge control methods. So we have different programs that we use. On the next video, we can briefly show you which software we use. So in the first video, this is the Syncer card. This is the software that allows you to work with different schemes, electric schemes and equipment and formulas. And next to Kahoot, Kahoot testing. This is a very good testing to control knowledge. And also when we give the grades to students, we also use Kahoot. And also we can say, we can speak about the Quizlet software when we work with the mathematical and various softwares. These are equations or schemes, and we can also ask short questions in chat. And Quizlet. I apologize, I was told that you couldn't see the video. Unfortunately, we don't see the video, so here you need to share your screen with audio. What about this? Yes, we can see it this way. Okay, great. Okay, this is what I just spoke about. This is the figure card, the software to work with the electric schemes, and also Kahoot for testing, and also Quizlet, because in automobile, we have all the sensors, and the sensors, for example, usually are in English language, and Quizlet lets us work with the terms, both with English and Russian translation. And also the Quizzes Pro software. Here you can use the software for grading as well, and for competitions. And also, as for the feedback, I personally use Mentimeter. Can you see the presentation? Yes, we can see it. Yes, the Mentimeter software allows us to work with feedback. So now I'd like to briefly demonstrate to you how Mentimeter works. So in order to work with Mentimeter, here basically you go to mentimeter.com, and then if you're not registered, you never worked with that program, you can register and sign up through Facebook or your Google account. So I've already registered, and I can go to my presentations. I click on your presentations, and here you can work easily. For example, we create a new presentation, let's say. So here, for example, I say mechanisms, and I save this topic. And you get this window. As you can see, there are different cards here. This is the slides. We have multiple choice, we have Q&As, we have open-ended. And for example, in this case, if I want to ask a question, I click on open-ended and I ask my question. For example, so what are the moving parts of the chassis?
Here there is a mistake. I'm sorry for that, but I just wanted to show that the students can go to the Menti.com application, and they can also send the answers to this application. It's a very useful application in order to have an exchange of opinions. Now I wanted to explain how we create video lessons. Our teachers do create video lessons. They use this equipment. Sorry, they use this materials about the equipment, and they also place all these videos onto one platform, and they can also upload some information to the YouTube channel. There are also some other development. There is testing, different methodologies, digital textbooks that can be uploaded to Google platform, which is our main platform. So students can watch their video classes according to their own schedule. And I just want to repeat a famous quote of Joseph Joubert: teach is to study twice as much. We always study, we always use new technologies, and I just wanted to share with you these technologies. Thank you very much for your attention. Dear colleagues, since we're running out of time, let us, yes, we actually check time. We have about 10-12 minutes. We wanted to use this time for feedback. Let us go to Minty.com program. Just go to Google and put minty.com. We will demonstrate it now. Just go to Google, start typing minty.com. Can you see the demonstration? Yes, we can. Just follow us. Just do what we do. Again, type minty.com. Use the codes 3632711. So we're just giving you enough time for you to do that. Those of you who did that already, please answer the question: which of these suggested innovative technologies are you planning to use in your work? Could you manage? Go to Google, start typing minty.com. You will have this new window. 3632711. When you enter, please also mention which city or which country you represent. It will be quite interesting for us. I see someone already submitted their answers, but you didn't say which city you're from, but it's fine. So someone said we already use such technologies. That's great to hear. Next, ICT technology from Kazakhstan. Video classes, Quizlet, quizzes, Google Class from Kokchetav. So we get feedback this way. And the next question: which other topics would you like to discuss at the future webinars? Please also mention your city or your country. The code is the same, 3632711. International shipments, so transport and logistics. Use of virtual labs and stands in distance learning. Demo exam. Laboratory work in distance learning. And practical classes. Practices on electric equipment. These are the topics that maybe we will discuss in the future. These are the topics that are of interest to the teachers. Demonstration exams, use of practical classes in online regime. We have 1 or 2 minutes. Ismail, maybe you could share with us something on one of these topics, since we still have some time now. Yes, could you show that again, please? I forgot to mention that in my presentation, in distance learning, we found a website, electronic.com. I can type it up in the chat box. Many of our colleagues that use this website said that it is quite a good platform because it explains quite well the machine building and any other issues in logistics or transport. That the materials were quite good. And the time of this webinar was very good. Just a week ago, we had a webinar among the professional colleges in Estonia, and we discussed this issue. And now we use ProDiat. This is mainly for diagnostics, but also has different practices. It is developed by Estonian company. And we believe that the other website is better, more professional. It is in English, and when we talk to our partners, they said that if there is a high demand, it is possible to translate the materials onto other languages, be it Estonian, Lithuanian, and others. I see there are questions about practical classes. You both said that you use practical classes. In some cases, you can address employers. And this is an example of practical classes for students. Maybe you could show us some other experience that you had, that you work with some practical tasks. Ismail, maybe you could share with us how it's done in Estonia. Well, we have a similar story. We were a bit more creative, and for textile, for example, what we did is those guys who could use their vacuum cleaner, or I don't know, anything really. Maybe they could clean their carpet. Yes, it is a bit far away maybe from cars, but still it's working with equipment, with technology, with vehicles. And it was easier to work with enterprises. We have very good relationship with enterprises. We get together annually, we discuss our challenges related to practice, and we know which works could be done at which enterprises, and we did this works together with our students. They could also work at different enterprises, and then they sent us photos and videos, what they did and how they did it, and they got assessed for that. Also, I wanted to ask about this practical homework. In Usk-Kamenogorsk said that you also organized exchange of students, so students exchange their homework and assessed each other, if I understood you correctly. So the assessment was done not only by the teachers, but also by students. Was that my correct understanding? Yes, 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 absolutely. Yes, we had mini groups so that students could discuss, and even some specialists from enterprises could connect. You mean specifically for the practical tasks that they did at home? Yes, yes. Ismail, what about you in Estonia? You started talking about it, said that there are some exchanges within the students. So I understand that there are assessments done by students or peer assessment, not just teacher assessment. Yes, we're definitely in touch with students, but once they start their internship, they are assessed by the employer when we stand basically aside. But they are monitored by the masters. No, I mean exchange to the students. So whether the students can assess each other and whether they can give assessment to each other. In our school, the tradition is that when they just start, we have some introductory classes. We teach them how to have peer assessment, how to have some professional network, and they also have a group on Facebook. They have their own groups and chats, and they even do homework together. Not everybody maybe understand the task, so they can help each other out, and one helps another. We understand that maybe they help each other. It's not possible to control homework 100%. It's hard to say if we really did the homework if it's done in remote. Wait, I would like to add, we have also a system of mentorship, not only by teachers, but also by students. Students can turn to each other, and stronger students can help those who are lagging behind. So this is what we practice. We have a similar system. We do have mentors. We also have social teachers. It's a special branch in our school. What happens is when students are lagging behind, or if they're facing any problems, maybe some social or challenges, they can turn to these mentors, student mentors, and they can help each other out. This proved to be quite effective. Thank you. We have 1 minute left, maybe 2 minutes. The meeting will be closed soon. I would like to sum up and thank all the participants of this international webinar. I'm sure that today we exchange some good information and skills and practice, which we will put into practice in our classes. If we still have some time, maybe we could give an open mic to our participants. Maybe someone wants to share some recommendations or wishes. We would be grateful. Is there anybody who would like to speak? We have a question, whether all the enterprises admit students for practical tasks for feedback. Usually these are private enterprises, not state ones. Especially those who live in remote areas. From what I know, this is done step by step. In the beginning, enterprises were reluctant to do that, but when they realized that it's going to last, the pandemic will last longer than expected, then they probably agreed to that. It's probably done in an individual way. Ismail, did students find these places or did you help them? Our system is first the students look for opportunities for internship, and then if they can find them, the school gets involved and help them. We have a specialist for that. In the beginning, you know, there was a lockdown, everything had to be closed, and no one knew what is going to happen next. So everybody could just refer to coronavirus. We cannot take on anybody. We cannot be in contact with anybody. We want our enterprise to keep working and not be shut down. But then they realized that self-isolation is impossible. And if one intern keeps going to one place, maybe it's just the enterprise, then this person doesn't have that many contacts. And in the beginning, we had the general lockdown. Now, with every case is treated separately. So if the person gets sick, then they just trace the contact and trace the group of people who are in contact with this infected person. In our school, we also had a case of coronavirus, so just one group was isolated. Not all of the school. I'm sorry, Ismail, I need to interrupt you because others will join us soon. I just wanted to say that all the platforms that Ismail mentioned are in the chat. So the others joined us. Thank you all, dear participants of the second group. Sergey, I give the floor back to you. Yes, thank you, Christine. Let's a bit of reflection. From my side, I will tell you what we did in our session, and then maybe a representative of the second session group can share their experience with us. First of all, I would like to thank all the participants who spoke in the session room. It was great. Our colleagues shared information on new technologies. They also talked about different methods and tools that helped them in distance learning. In interactive format, we also carried out a survey, and we realized that this webinar has a very good feedback, meaning the colleagues learned something new, and they will be using these new ideas in their practice.
And secondly, we also heard the opinions of experts. From the Republic of Uzbekistan, we have the director of Tashkent IT College, Mr. Dmitry, who shared his views and opinion. Also, we have RIPO, and that is Republic of Belarus, who also shared their opinions. And the colleagues actually focused on the fact that our next meeting should be dedicated to the methods of organizing an online class, because most of our colleagues expressed this opinion. In general, that is the case, and now with great interest, I believe that it was a hot discussion in your group, and please share what your group discussed, please. The second session also was successful. We had feedback. All the speakers shared their new technologies and innovations. Of course, we take note. Unfortunately, one speaker was not able to join due to technical issues, but nevertheless, we were able to discuss the questions and answers, and many questions were addressed to Ismail, and I thank everyone for participation. Usk-Kameniogorsk had a very interesting presentation. We also addressed certain questions, so I believe that today's webinar is very actual, and I believe that there are many questions for the next webinar. Christine, I thank you very much for organizing such a webinar, and we will prepare many questions for organizing the next webinar. I thank everyone. I thank all the participants. And we also actually discussed the question of the Menticom, and there were some software applications that were discussed, so we had very good feedback. If I may, I would like to add, because just like in IT group, we had certain topics for the future, because we have very important questions, and there are many questions on the practical lessons when online is not an option. It's not a full substitution. I believe that, of course, it worries many. Of course, we were able to share video lessons and how to conduct something at home. And I believe that participants also expressed their opinions in terms of the exams and how to really check their skills. And again, if we are speaking about these professions, so this is very important question, even though we started, well, nevertheless, we had a very good exchange of best practices, and I think those professions where you have to do something with your own hands, touch something, I think we need to discuss how practical lessons can be carried out. So this is very important. Yes, I agree. Thank you very much, Christine. Dear colleagues, our webinar is coming, is moving on with the agenda, and now I would like to ask you to participate in the survey. Please click on the link in the chat box so that we can get feedback on today's webinar. And while you do this, while you answer the questions to the survey and feedback form, I'd like to give the floor to Christine for the final remarks so that you can make a summary of our two webinars. The first one was more on theoretical part in November, and now we have a second webinar. And even Christine, you know, once we finished discussions, Shahnazar from Uzbekistan said, I don't know if we can see each other or not, but Happy New Year, upcoming New Year. So I think nevertheless, it's great that we have this opportunity to share experience. Christine, the floor is yours. Thank you, Sergey. Well, while I'm speaking, I hope that the participants are filling the feedback forms. Of course, I also wanted to make a practical announcement that all the slides that were used by the speakers will be uploaded to OpenSpace website. That is the European Training Fund website. And also I'd like to announce that colleagues from Astana Polytechnical College worked a lot because all the slides will be in different languages. Is that correct, Sergey? Yes. So the slides will be not only in Russian or English languages, but they will also be translated to Kazakh, Uzbek, Tajik, and Turkmen, I hope, languages. And therefore, please, later on, you may use these slides. And we have recorded this webinar, And therefore, later on, we will announce and let you know where you can get access to these recordings too. If you wish to also view the discussion in the parallel session where you were not able to participate. So nevertheless, these are all the technicals that I would like to share with you. Also, another thing, on EFO website, you will be able to find a handbook on how to use the video materials in the training process. Now it's only in English, but I hope that in a few weeks there will be a Russian version, also thanks to these webinars, because they actually convinced us to translate this material, our colleagues. And what I wanted to say also, that in the end, when Sergey proposed this initiative of Teachers Without Borders, for us it was very important because, in fact, having spoken with many teachers, with many professionals, we understand that in some countries there is this active exchange, and by the way, not in all countries. So I believe that in Kazakhstan, from what we hear from colleagues, in fact, there is this exchange of experience at different levels, not only at the level of educational facilities, but at the level of regions, at the level of the sectors. So it's very great, but it doesn't happen everywhere, but it's great when the country actively supports the initiatives and the regional authorities support, as well as the teachers, of course. So what we found that, in fact, there is very little exchange between the countries. So in terms of the problems that we're facing now, of course, the conditions are equal to everyone. So when it comes to the first webinars, we can actually activate this exchange. And if you wish to continue this, then we may find a way. And here, I would like to say that it was accomplished thanks, well, these two webinars were carried thanks to a lot of efforts put onward by the Astana Polytechnical College, because they communicated and contacted the speakers and made all the agreements in organization. And I assume that you want and you wish to participate in the meetings to exchange best practices and opinions. And I believe that next year from EFO will, in your European Training Fund, will be able to support it, to also take this role of coordinate. But when it comes to communicating with the colleagues, organizing the training, now we will have this Central Asian community, and even not only from Central Asia, we have colleagues from Ukraine, from Belarus here, and also we have colleagues from Moldova. So it's not only for Central Asia. We're very glad to actually expand this circle even wider. It would be great. And of course, our colleagues from Lithuania, from Estonia, from Latvia, it also shows that it's not only a regional best practices exchange, but also exchange of teachers without borders. So once again, to continue this exchange, we need those of you who are ready to contact your colleagues and, of course, contribute into organizing the meetings. So please let me know. if you are ready to sometimes take this role of the organizer of the meeting for exchanging best practices with this, I believe that, well, after the second time, after our second webinar, you were able probably to meet some new people who you have never worked before. I hope that's the case. So if you were able to get new contacts, I hope you will continue the communication. So hopefully next year we can continue this exchange of best practices amongst the teachers, many more. So I thank my colleagues, and Galina did a lot of technical work, and Miss Sylvia is here. And also we are now one team with the colleagues of Astana Polytechnical College. And Sergey, I thank you very much, and I thank all the colleagues. I know that there is a whole team that was preparing and working to organize this webinar. So Sergey, if you also wish to thank them on behalf of the whole team, please. And I wish you all best of luck. And of course, an aspiration and desire to develop and learn and improve, even when there are certain challenges. Sergey, the final word is yours. Thank you, Christine. I also would like to thank my colleagues who helped organize these two webinars. First of all, this is the methodological office led by Ms. Roshan, and also to all the methodologists, to the moderator, Ms. Saule, and colleagues, all the speakers. You know, this is seemingly very large event. We speak amongst the colleagues, but you know, still, nevertheless, I was anxious, but it's so great when teachers exchange best practices and experience with other teachers. I thank ASEL for operating as a bridge between the ETF and the college. And I thank all the Polytechnical College and the higher college of the Polytechnical College Astana. This is one big team, and I thank Mr. Kasim Khan when we discussed with Christine the possibility to carry out this webinar. Of course, our director and our head was fully supportive, so I thank Mr. Kasim Khan, Kazim Gazievich, for the support. I believe that we met all your expectations, and I believe that we met the expectations of all the community, and I thank everyone for participation. And I wish you fruitful weekends. I don't say goodbye, I say see you later. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good holiday. Thank you, goodbye, and see you later.